It's the Score North Twin Show.
Welcome into the Score North Twin Show. Mackie out today, but you know what? That's absolutely fine because more importantly than me being here, Declan is here, and Declan is the guy who dishes to us straight from the Twins clubhouse. He is our beat podcast reporter, which is sort of what the world is trending to now, as certainly guys who and gals who are around the team still write a lot. But just as valuable or more so are the people that that flap their gums to talk about what they have learned from inside the clubhouse as well as being in the press box. So Dex, without further ado, before you joined us for a company event last night, were working the clubhouse, talking to Rocco. Tell us what you came away with, starting with Alex Kirilloff, who is now at St. Paul after an absolutely atrocious stretch of baseball, and Austin Martin has replaced him.
Yeah, so hit the like button, subscribe button too on the Score North Twin Show. Appreciate everyone that has liked this channel. We're over 3,000 subs. We launched this right before the season started, so appreciate it. Thank you. People like to say baseball's dead. Baseball is not dead, and that is also the name of a very famous podcast with Jared Carrabis, but I didn't mean to plug him. I'm just plugging the Score North Twin Show. You can plug both those channels at this rate.
Yeah, subscribe to everything. Just go right ahead.
Just go subscribe to
hit
everything.
all those buttons.
So yeah, Alex Kirilloff got demoted. We were on this show kind of hinting at, is this going to happen at any moment here? I was not at Wednesday's game for other company reasons, and at Wednesday evening after the day game ended, it appeared on the log of all things of MLB.com transaction page that Kirilloff was optioned, and I wouldn't say him being optioned was a surprise. The timing was a surprise just because it happened randomly at Wednesday at 9:00 with kind of next to no warning or real insight from this is going to happen. But Kirilloff goes down. Austin Martin comes up here, and Kirilloff has been struggling for a month plus. I think what I have gathered is this from talking to a few people around. I think Alex, who is very much I'm going to use this in a nice way, a cyborg human being. He's just very straightforward. He wants to play baseball, and he wants to be a good hitter, and he's going to do all those things to try to be a better hitter. I know we have also heard maybe from Doogie brought this up on Scoops. Did the Twins change his swing, and were there different tweaks? I haven't gathered that that's the case. I don't think it was an organizational swing change with Alex. I actually get the sense, I think Alex is making these adjustments kind of on his own. And maybe even now baseball players will make adjustments throughout a season because that's natural. I think there might be some overcorrection here internally from Alex. And that's been a big problem for him. And he can try to do numerous things to get better. This also might be a guy, Judd, who has had numerous problems with his wrist and now shoulder. And we're seeing this with Buxton, who's older than Kirilloff. Unfortunately, when you go under the knife so much, even at mid-20 years old, right, it starts to weigh on you. But, these guys are freak athletes, and they're stronger than better than you and I have ever dreamed of being. But when you go under the knife that much, it can ruin you. Even ruin a promising, great career, which Alex Kirilloff looked like he might have been on the path of. There is a world where all of these surgeries have caught up to him, and from what I also gathered, he didn't some guys take this news hard, right, being optioned down. I didn't get the sense that was the case with Alex. I think he understands that he has to make adjustments, and he knows he's not good enough to be up here at the big league level. So can he fix those things in AAA? We'll certainly see, but I think there's a course of just overcorrectiveness with Alex himself. And that's what happens when you get into a rut. I'm not blaming him for trying to overcorrect. I didn't get the sense, though, that it's been a swing philosophy change that the Twins tried to make him do. Mm-hmm. I think this is a guy that's making too many adjustments at the plate, and it's hurting him.
Now, first of all, on the surgery front, they shaved part of his wrist down, right?
Yeah.
Which to me is a big deal. That's going to impact. The interesting thing about Kirilloff is this, too. So his entire arc as a human, he was basically, he was homeschooled. He played high school baseball for a team that he joined, but he didn't go to that high school. He was homeschooled. He was taught by his dad. as far as baseball went, right? So like the swing, all of that, how they were going to do this. Basically, he sounds like a kid that was earmarked, and this happens with dads, earmarked as a special talent, and so like everything was came from his dad. I think that puts athletes, and I think that puts people as they get older and then go into different environments in a very difficult position as well, because they don't have the ability, or they have not learned from a bunch of different people who have tinkered with how they approach things at the plate, how they hit, right? It's basically one fundamental philosophy, and if that starts to not work, I think that also gets to be an issue, both not just physically but mentally too. Like, I would love to deconstruct this guy, and that's not going to happen, but I would love to know, is this a physical thing? Is this a mental thing as well? It's not going well, and his dad's not there, and he doesn't know how to fix it, which is not a joke. I'm serious. I've seen this before. You know what? You should go read the story. And I don't think Kirilloff is. I don't think this is an apples to apples, but I think it's in the same area code. Okay, Dex. A guy who was around a long time before you were probably born was a kid by the name of Todd Marinovich, who was a USC quarterback who was basically pushed by his dad, and his dad like was everything, and he was supposed to be this protege, and he was really good in college as I recall, but he got to the pros and it flamed out, and in part it was because the old man had pushed him so hard, and I don't know what Kirilloff's dad, if he pushed him that hard, but I do think it's interesting to have the discussion of a guy who's never really had that team thing necessarily of here's what you need to change, here's what you don't, all of a sudden get that. And then to your point, they start to try to correct it themselves. And I'm not even talking about his wrist being shaved down. I think there's a lot at work here. And I would love to know like how much of it is upstairs and how much is potentially just to what you're talking about, surgeries, setbacks, and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, and I think you bring up excellent points about upbringings and stuff. I have no idea about what that impact of him does on as done on him as a Major League Baseball player and just as a human. And to be honest, I probably won't even speak on that because I just don't know what that guy's going through. But I do think that there is a world where both mentally and physically that this guy could be just not shot, but never going to live up to his potential. Right. Yeah. That swing when it's peak, at its peak, it's great. But right now it's slow and it's long, and I don't know. I don't know if this is a guy that's ever going to be able to reach it. And sometimes one of the worst things you can do in baseball is just overcorrect and be completely in your head. Because I do think he has the physical tools, even if they might be limited with those surgeries that have taken place. There just might be some overcorrection here. And also, last thing on it, there is nothing from what the Twins have gathered that is physically wrong with him with the wrist and the shoulder. I saw people saying, "Oh, I hope he's not hurt." If he was hurt, he would be placed in the IL.
Right.
Like plain and simple. Right. Him getting demoted is not because he's injured. If he was injured, he'd be placed on the IL. He is going down to AAA because he can't hit. That is that plain and simple, black and white.
He's not injured, but to what you alluded to earlier, there is a chance he's not comfortable. But that's that's the phrase that when we talked about Kirilloff a couple days ago with Phil, is he comfortable with his new normal?
Yeah.
Think about you, dude. If they went in, I mean, I got no clue. But if you have a wrist problem and they go in and shave it down, and part of what you do is your hands and wrists make you a living.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, if that changes things, it's not that he's like, there's probably nothing more that can be done, right?
Yep.
Like it's not like, oh my God, he's hurt. We've been playing him through. But if he, his whole life, he's had this phenomenal swing, right? The sweet swing, and he can hit for average, and it feels different. I don't think we appreciate the fact that in athletic competition, in the big leagues, NFL, right? If something feels different, I'm not sure everybody can adjust, especially if they're used to achieving at a level of which it's like you could win a batting title. So like I think it's very fair to say he's not injured, but that doesn't mean he's comfortable.
Good way to put it.
Austin Martin.
So Austin Martin coming up to take his spot. Interesting little move here because you've now swapped out all of the lefties, the young lefties that you were relying upon going into opening day. Matt Wallner got sent down 2 weeks in. Now Kirilloff is down. Julian got sent down. You call up Austin Martin. Before I get into maybe what he brings, I was curious on does this, and this was asked to Rocco too from other reporters. This is a team that loves to platoon their hitters aggressively, even more aggressively than normal, and platoons might work. But at the same time, now you have more of a surplus of the right-handed bats on your lineup with those 3 lefties now basically in the minors. Does that change things? I don't think it will change things too much. Remember that they also still have 2 switch hitters in Willie Castro and Carlos Santana, and both those guys have been swinging really good bats the last month plus. Trevor Larnach's still fine. Royce Lewis, there is the belief around that guy from coaching staff and teammates down is incredible for someone who has only played 85 games in his big league career. They do not care that they face righty on righty with him. There are some guys that are exempt from that. Correa has been exempt from that. Royce Lewis is exempt from that. Ryan Jeffers has, I think, graduated to being exempt from that. But all the younger guys or those fringe bottom of the order guys, if there's an opportunity with a pitching change, they're going to platoon them. They're going to switch them out for the opposite hand hitter. That's going to happen. So I don't think that changes, even with the surplus of righties. They might be limited at what they can do with it because they don't have as many lefties. But we'll see. On Martin, so drew a crap ton of walks down at AAA. Got on base a ton. Showed off some speed. The thing that I asked him, I said, are you more comfortable in center or left? Just point blank. Are you more comfortable at one of those 2 positions? And he said, I am comfortable at both positions, and I feel as comfortable at either. I just want to play. I asked Rocco about this too, because I think he does profile athletically as a good center fielder. And I got reports too from St. Paul that said he is a badass center fielder. But Buxton is this everyday center fielder for right now. Like, until he gets hurt and until he can't play anymore, Byron Buxton's going to play center field, and they're not going to DH Buxton more because Austin Martin can play center. Martin can play left. Martin is too athletically gifted to not learn how to play a good left field. I think with Martin, because he didn't play there a ton, and I think him being kind of in a big league environment, it's different when you get called up to the big leagues. Even with Target Field being a lot not as packed as it usually is, it's a big league ball club. And dimensions and everything around it, I think there was some surrounding areas with Austin Martin that lingered into those struggles at left field when we saw him up here with the Twins. And that played a role with him not being able to read balls as well, being kind of a wanderer out there trying to track things down. I think those little minor things that can be fixed, I think those can be fixed. Now, come October, with the place being loud and place being raucous and you need to be on your A game at all times, you can't make those mistakes. Do I think over the course of this season, and probably more importantly of the offseason, of him hitting balls every single day there in left, learning the instincts of playing left field, that he can play an above average left? 100%. I do think he can play left field. So absolutely, he might mix in at second a couple times. Rocco mentioned that. But as well as he might look in center, if he wants to be here every day and honestly carve out a role for him long term, that's just not here because there's a roster crunch. It will be at left field long term.
Oh yeah, and so my thing is that's fine. I think that he should be the primary backup to Buxton, though. So if Buxton's not there, and I mean, Buck gets days off at times as well, I think Austin Martin, with that athletic ability, should be in center. That being said, here's my left field conundrum for 2024, because I'm with you. He can learn to play there. Go down to Fort Myers when the season is done and take 1,000 fly balls, have guys, hit balls over your head. My issue with him right now has nothing to do with ability. Athletically, I think he's very good. It has to do with what you said, the reads. I don't think he reads the ball well. And I don't know if you can fix that. I don't know how quick you can fix that in season. But to your point, like you can't afford mistakes there. And I am not saying it's simple. I'm just saying that we've all seen enough baseball that if a left fielder is good, you sort of take it for granted. You're like, of course he made that
Absolutely.
play. He's good. Of course he made that play. Martin shows you, I think at least at times, especially on balls over his head, how difficult that can be. Like, so I strictly think it's reading baseballs off the bat. And my question is, can that be fixed in especially key games? But I mean, you know what? Target field's rough, man. It's rough. Max Kepler is an expert at playing not one, not two, but three surfaces of bounces. Because there are, to go back to when that place opened, there's the limestone,
Limestone above.
there's a padded wall, and right between that, there's like a piece of wood. And if it's a wood, it just dies. So, like, in no way, shape, or form am I trying to insinuate, he sucks there. I just don't know how quickly that you can get him comfortable. And I do think that if Byron Buxton is not playing center field, Austin Martin should get that chance. I would not leave him in left on those days because, damn it, we're going to play him in left. If there's a second option, to me, it's Martin.
Yeah.
That's simple.
I do think, too, that they want Martin to take this left field job, not because there's just a vacancy, but because they really like Willie Castro in the infield more. And to Willie's credit, he has improved drastically.
And he's not a bad second baseman.
Yeah,
he played 80 some odd games there for the Tigers at some point. But yes, I would be personally happy if Castro never played the outfield again, because I do think he's far superior in, at third, or I think preferably now second. Hey, I got a question for you. What's your theory? And it's a short sample size, as the kids like to say, but I'd be curious to get this. What's your theory on Julian being awful at St. Paul? Is this a period of pouting, which we've seen, which, by the way, would not be the first guy? But I mean, do you think, just from afar, do you think he's upset, he got sent down, he's sort of pouting, so he's struggling? Do you think it's something to be concerned about? I'm curious, because I think there's one of two ways that you often go when you're surprisingly sent down. The first is, screw you, I'm going to go down there and go 18 for 22, right. Or I'm in my feels, I'm hurt, I can't believe this, and now I'm 1 for 22.
So I'm not too concerned with like the batting average and his just overall statistics down there, because they're probably asking him to do things that he wasn't doing up here. So that's going to be swinging at a lot more pitches. That's going to be not taking the strike three. You have the automated strike system down there at AAA, so it can become, it's a lot different than human error. We all know that. Right. So I'm not too concerned with it, because if he's being aggressive and trying to change some things, which, by the way, he has never done in his career. He has a certain skill set that he has brought up to this point as a big leaguer, and then it caught up to him where he takes a ton of strike three calls, and he's probably going down there at AAA trying to change those habits. Now, the batted balls haven't turned into hits. I haven't watched some of those batted balls either. Those hard hits or those right. The baseball death that Rocco told me about earlier this week. I don't know what the type of contact is for him, but they're probably asking him to do things that he has never done before, and that's, most importantly, swinging the bat on more of those borderline pitches that he either has decided not to hit, or on the breaking ball side, he just doesn't know how to hit, and that's going to be an adjustment period. So sure. I don't look at the 135 average, whatever it is, as like, oh, he is screwed, he's never going to be able to figure this out. I think they're probably asking him to do things that he has never done before, so the results aren't going to maybe match up with the process that they're asking him to do.
Fair enough. All right. In his last 8 games, Carlos Correa is a ridiculous 18 for 33. That's a 545 average, 4 strikeouts, homered last night. We have marveled privately and publicly before, Dex, about this guy's ability at shortstop. I mean, he's got a cannon for an arm. I've urged people now, even when Correa was struggling at the plate last year, if you go to a ball game, do not take what you see at shortstop for granted, because it is phenomenal. And we have seen a lot of bad shortstops. Carlos Correa is a platinum gold glove type of guy. But this is this streak is incredibly hot. So I don't expect this to keep up as is. But Dex, I think it's fair to say that a year ago, when a bunch of us were like, well, he's hurt, but I mean, there's got to be more here at the plate, right? Like, I think 2024 right now as a whole, when you mix it all together, this was the Correa that we expected, which is what now? 299 average, 844 OPS. Like, this is the all-star. This is the guy. And it's fun to watch. It's damn impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he's a star, man. And I've always admired in the time that I've watched him just as a fan and then time in the clubhouse, like he's the leader of that team. Like Carlos Correa is the captain of that team by far. And that might belong to Royce Lewis sooner than later.
But not right now.
As of right now, Carlos Correa is that team. I mean, just yesterday in the clubhouse, we were trying to talk to Martin, and then Correa comes over like, hey, boys, team meeting. We got to go. We got hitters meeting. Got a hitters meeting. We got to go. So he holds people accountable.
And you didn't say no?
No,
Carlos,
I did not.
No. Carlos, look at me. Look at me. Media time.
Yeah.
No, you're exactly right.
Him being in World Series, him being a postseason hitter. Yeah, I mean, his glove has always been what has separated him. It's not necessarily his bat. His bat in the playoffs is really good. He was always an above average hitter, but never an MVP Silver Slugger type of hitter. And by the way, that was fine. He was never a detriment as a hitter. Last year with the foot, it lingered him and it made him limited what he was able to bring at the plate. But right now, I mean, yeah, you're seeing a guy who's maybe having his best offensive season. And I think with all those leadership qualities that I just discussed, and then him being able to hit too, like this dude is special. And he's going to be under a microscope. He gets booed everywhere he goes. That's not target field. I think some of that is a little overkill. I know he might be the poster boy for some of the things that happen with the Astros, and I get that. But at the end of the day, he is the captain of this team, and I'm glad the Twins have someone like this that everyone hates. Like the Twins have never had someone else that every other team hates. Their fan base hates. The other team's fan bases did not hate Joe Mauer. They didn't hate Byron Buxton. They didn't hate Brian Dozier. They didn't hate Justin Morneau. They didn't hate Torrey Hunter. Right. People hate Carlos Correa, and now that jackass is on your team. I mean, it's similar to AJ Pierzynski to a degree, but AJ was here and left, and he was also a very abrasive person.
And we hated him.
We hated him. Correa is not an abrasive personality like AJ is. It's not even close. But I personally like that this state and specifically the Twins have that in Carlos Correa. We've never had that type of player.
I was going to say, yeah, that's really, really rare because like you go back to the Pucketts and those guys were loved. They were superstars and they could be a pain in your ass if you're opposing team, but they were absolutely loved. And Carlos, because of the trash can banging. The thing with Carlos, so a year ago, two things. One is it's fun to watch him play short now because I actually thought a year ago at short he played really well, but he was dealing with that plantar fasciitis for so much of the year, and I think there's no question that impacted him at the plate, and now that's gone. That's a good thing. The other thing too is, and I don't know if he thoroughly discussed this or not, but I would love to know what the bungled free agency tour with two teams taking away offers did as well to his mental state. Now, he's a pretty mentally strong dude, or at least he comes off that way. So I think he would downplay it, but there is no question. I will say this. I think if he had gone to San Fran, he would have been fine. He would have played short there.
Yeah, I agree.
The Giants are a big deal, but they ain't that big a deal. They're a West Coast team. Dude, if he'd gone to the Mets and played third base, what happens there? Because I don't think the Mets are better. Like, I don't think that,
No.
Okay, if you just put Carlos Correa at third base, I think the Mets are just a mess.
Yep.
But what happens there?
Oh, it would have.
And the back page, I mean, the New York tabloids would have loved Carlos. They would have just.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, in the alternate world of which Steve Cohen's deal goes through and the Mets are like, yeah, the medicals are concerning, but we're fine. And I'm not saying he gets hurt there. I'm just saying the environment, you think about, he's an interesting player here because he genuinely seems happy. You know, it's
I agree with
a
that. Yep.
mid-market type of team, right? I wouldn't say we're really small, but we're certainly not big.
Yep.
It's the Twins. It just seems like a good and he definitely I do think the one thing I'll say is I do think that for the last few years at least, the clubhouse culture has been good.
Yeah.
Like it feels good now for
It does.
sure.
It's
I
definitely
think
good.
that's real. Can you imagine Carlos trying to lead with the Mets in New York? My
I
God,
know.
I don't know what happens, but I don't think it's good.
No, not at all. Yeah, his leadership and then his just presence. I mean, there is a
Yeah.
presence about him that sometimes some players just have that presence of
Yep.
not intimidation, but just of you're gonna you'll
Captain.
respect me as a captain. Yeah,
They're a
captain,
captain.
captain type. Last things here on the Score North Twin Show. Hit the like button, subscribe button. You'll have some extra innings episodes too this
that right now.
weekend with the Oakland A's in town and then the
Yeah,
Tampa Bay Rays.
can we please get some good teams here? I just desperately want to see good baseball teams.
I hear you. Let's see. I talked to Royce Lewis about the new uniforms, the clubhouse yesterday. He liked them. He likes that they're different. He likes
Yeah.
that they're completely different
Players like that.
than the other ones. Like
Yep.
the Tigers one is different, but the Tigers one is it looks kind of similar to what the Twins have. But that one is like just weird and atrocious, and I do not like that one. You got to try something different. And that's what the whole point of these jerseys were. And the Twins elected to go last because they revealed their 4 core jerseys going into 2023. So I'm not saying the Twins were at an excuse, but they elected to go last in these for a reason. And from I think what they gave with the City Connects, like that was always kind of the plan for the most part. So it's not like this design came together at the 11th hour and then they had to scrap everything because things were changed from other elements from teams. I think this jersey was mostly going to be the City Connect design that went into it for a long time.
Yep.
But I like that it's different. I think it's going to be cool. I'm
Well,
fine
and they're
with it.
not and again, it's not primary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's my thing is it's one thing if you're like, "Hey, we're going blue pants and that's what we got now."
Yeah.
Then it's like, "Oh, okay, it's sort of odd, full-time choice." But yes, this whole thing is look, at the end of the day it's one thing. It's a way to sell more merchandise,
Yeah.
which it
That's all
sounds
it
like
is.
they're doing.
Yep.
So, and if the kids like it, that's awesome. I'm ambivalent to the most part because it's not full time and they're not supposed to wear like it's not supposed to be, oh, it looks like the Twins. Like the whole thing is, like it or not, the whole thing is, oh, okay, it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, I've been giving this some thought. And I know that there are people on both sides of the table here, jersey wise. But last night was Prince night, and it got me to thinking, I'm not sure about you. One of my favorite alternate jerseys in this town, and like every team has them now, is when the Wolves a few years ago did that Prince jersey
Mm-hmm.
for I think what was basically the NBA's City Edition.
Yep.
What if the Twins had gone with something for Prince?
And I think that was discussed. Like that was definitely discussed. But they wanted to also, I think, do something different from that even.
So you do think that was discussed?
Yeah, I think that was discussed.
Oh, interesting.
I think that was discussed. But they wanted to go with these Lakes one. I mean, in a perfect world, if they didn't release new jerseys of those core 4, the Twin Cities jersey, which is the best jersey that they have done,
I agree.
That probably would have been a City Connect jersey.
Okay.
You
That's
know?
a great jersey. Yeah,
Like
it probably wouldn't have been that color, right? It probably would have been a little bit different colors, but
Yeah.
said Twin Cities. When I saw that at first, I'm like, that's okay. But then I saw it in
Yeah,
action
on the field.
and I
Yeah.
like it a lot. This is why I think that as far as these go, the City Connect cannot be truly dissected until you see him in a game.
Agreed.
I just don't think a static shot of a guy,
Agreed.
because I've seen jerseys that I like static, and then I see him in games, and I'm like, that's not what I expected. Conversely, I've seen him in games, and I'm like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's very difficult to pass judgment off of a picture. I think I need to see it. And the only way that I'm going to see these, Declan, is to either go to the ballpark myself or hear them described on CCO, because I obviously don't get Twins games right now.
I mentioned that Chris Paddock he said after his start that he has some custom stirrups on the way for the City Connect jerseys. I asked him yesterday, are you a little bummed because the rotation got pushed back a day
Yeah, he can't pitch
with
during
Louis, and he would have been lined up to start tomorrow, which the Twins are going to wear the City Connects tomorrow. And he goes, actually, I'm glad it got pushed because they're not here yet. So
Okay.
he said he was happy that the socks, the stirrups that he'll have will be available, and hopefully we'll see the next time if it lines up, he'll be able to wear them even. But he does have some stirrups on the way for these.
Does he get fined if so his stirrups are often not matching his teammates? In football, you can do that, but you get fined. Do you get fined in baseball?
I don't think so. I can ask about it.
Ask him about that.
Yeah.
Ask him about that because I've never known if there is like a protocol.
Yeah.
Like, does everyone need to be? Because like Paddock goes with different shoes. He goes. I mean, he's a fashionista, man.
Yes.
He's a style. He's a style dude, which is funny. But ask him if there's pushback because football has a guy who actually each team has an observer.
Yeah.
So for home games, they hunt down guys. I remember, I think Antoine Winfield got fined for every game one year because he pulled his pants up and showed his socks. And his socks weren't like the regulations. Team issued or something. So anyway, ask Paddock, say, you know what? You're a style guy. Are you getting fined for being such a style guy?
I can do that for you. Hit the like button, subscribe button. This is Score North Extra, Score North Twin Show. Extra innings content
not extra innings.
Will be on later this weekend. So yes, hit the like button, subscribe button. Appreciate everyone listening. We'll be talking at you this weekend.